Prince McCain here, reporting for 639 News, giving you the update on our organizing growth presentation. Now, I'm gonna quit the character. I didn't really enjoy him. Um, you can switch to the next one. Slide through. So for our agenda, we're going to look at the creed and values of the 639 News team. We're going to go through the potential revenue streams, and our current and future partnerships, application of co-creation theory, application of community building, and finally our learnings that we've taken away from this particular course.
Fantastic.
You can go to the next one. So starting off with creed and values, with the 639 News team, we were very much with the creed of where traditional media ends, the truth begins. And that wasn't just, that was the creed in which we actually built our news station upon. And then with regards to the value that we were trying to give our viewers, it was very much within the emotional value of fun and affection. And we really wanted to have a more playful style, so that, when people came into our news channel, that they would actually walk away with a sense of positive and fun, and that they've actually had a little bit of enjoyment. And then we also wanted to have some social significance. So with identity and group belongingness, so we very much highlighted the themes of being within Fredericksburg and CBS, and so that would be a way in which people would feel connected, not just to Fredericksburg and CBS, but also their classmates, fellow classmates, because we were all characters within our particular show. And you can go to the next one.
Yeah, and I'll take over from here. So the potential revenue streams of our YouTube channel would be built around the brand of 639 News. The ones we think would be obvious for us to use would be merchandise. One thing is because it's a 639 News team, it's easy to make merchandise for. And secondly, we have those ads in between where it would be cool to just use that to promote our own things. In line with that, provocative t-shirts and posters. Then an option could also be to do video advertisements, similar to what all of the YouTube channels does, where you start the movie by saying this is sponsored by, for example. Then we have the YouTube monetization program, which we felt was obvious for us as well. The donation from viewers, to make sure that we don't necessarily have to do a lot of partnerships and video advertisements would be an option as well. So these are all options, but we think the donations, merchandise, and YouTube monetization program would be the best ones to go with for us. And next slide. Then about the current and future partnerships. As it says, key partners were carefully selected to promote our brand. We did 2 collaborations in the same movie with the We Like to Move It group, where we took them in and used them as a part of one of our reportings. And then we collaborated with How to Denmark, where we gave them 20 seconds to fill out the ad space in our movie to promote themselves, which was 2 fun ways to actually do the collaboration and get other people on board. Potential future collaborations could be with Fyns Folkeparti, which is one of the inspirations to the Frexit stores we're doing. And then also a party actually called Frederiksberg Folkeparti, which are also a sarcastic party playing on the idea of Brexit, which could be fun to include in our stories as well. And next slide. And then we have the application of co-creation theory and how we try to do that. One of the really good examples is that we had Artful Making, where when we did the collaboration with the We Like to Move It group, we had the initial part where you could say release, where everyone came up with ideas saying, how could we do this? And everyone opened up and started trusting each other and delegating responsibilities. And then when we actually met up and started doing the filming, it was a clear example of collaboration and ensemble, where the sum was more than the parts itself, where we had Mitch doing the journalist part, where he was his one-take wonder, ensuring that he had his stuff covered and does his awesome job as always. We had the We Like to Move It group, who had prepared a dance and met up and followed all the instructions carefully and made it easy. Then we had Max doing first assistant director work, which is all the logistics, ensuring that he was made sure that we could film, having not people in the background, that I didn't block people behind us because it was a busy place. And I was able to do the filming even though it was dark and in a lot of contrast, which proved a bit hard. And we expected it to last 1 hour. It took 25 minutes, and we came out with a product that was way better than any of us anticipated, which is why I think we reached the play stage as well, where the process was more important than the product and how we made it, and it turned out better than expected. So that's one way I think we used the theory. And next slide.
So yeah, with regards to application of community building, so we have the two particular models, the primal branding and PSOC framework. And it's important to note that both particular frameworks would be applicable, but for our case, we would like to use primal branding to highlight how we actually try to create community. And I think that's seen within our last movie, or our last video clip, in which we had a trailer in which we were trying to get feedback from our subscribers and our viewers on which they can dictate how the story ends or continues, and that will elaborate upon their idea. And so that was our attempt to encourage co-creation with our subscribers. By doing that, or I guess in that, we tried to use rituals. So we had the reoccurring segment of Vince the Reporter. That was something that was consistent throughout all of our videos. Again, with Frixit and the Truth, they were very much not just our rituals, but also our sacred words, especially Frixit and the Truth. So in that way, we tried to initiate a sense of belongingness and an opportunity for our subscribers to engage in a co-created universe. So what happened to Vince the Reporter? What was the geopolitical landscape of Frixit? These are all the questions that we wanted our viewers to tell us. Next slide. And so with that, our learnings, I guess the big learnings that we took away was within the 30-minute internal team dialogue exercise. With this particular analysis, it showed that there were very much common mistakes within our group that was required to have a more balanced conversation. So to begin with, we very much had a move, follow particular approach. And it was said that who could say their idea the loudest got their idea through. So we had to really actively change that and create better dialogue. And that was very much only found through the 30-minute dialogue exercise, in which we saw that there was very little oppose and little bystand. So as we moved forward, we actively tried to create better dialogue by incorporating more oppose and being more aware of how we could oppose. And by being aware of how we could oppose, it also forced us to be better listeners and to be able to respond to each other more effectively. And we also noticed that the conversation became calmer and more reflective. And so I guess what we can do to take away from this is, just in order to create a high functioning and high performing team and wanting to create a balanced conversation, it's probably not a bad idea, but very much a useful idea to incorporate this form of analysis, this 30-minute dialogue, just to see where there are weak spots within a team and how you can create a team that fulfills all the different roles and creates good balance. So I think one of the key takeaways or our learnings is that it's always the more that you can understand how you're communicating with each other, the better, and how you can actually rectify such problems and issues to create some form of balance.
Cool.
Next slide. So this leads us to, I think you have to click it again. Where's the truth?
Cool. Was that it?
That was it.
That was it.
Fantastic. Stay tuned. End of slideshow. Okay, cool. I have a few questions. One question is, when you talk about dialogue, and how you apply dialogue, you say that you listened to the recording and then you found, oh, there's very little oppose and very little bystand, and you notice that the idea that gets through is the idea that is expressed the loudest. So this is of course something very interesting, and then you say, well, we changed that by just introducing more oppose and more bystand, and I assume being aware that that the loudest idea isn't necessarily the best one, and you notice the change. So that is a really good example, actually, of how you use the theory to analyze what's going on, and then you act on it, and you get some outcome. I'm curious because I didn't get quite as clear. I think you're right when you're talking about the collaboration video and say that that was an example of artful making, but I wasn't clear on what it was how you used the theory to make choices around how you set up the process. So maybe you can say a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I can elaborate on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a 50-50 on intentional and unintentional use of the way the theory describes it, because we weren't saying, okay, now we're going to do art filmmaking. But when looking on the theory and how it was about the initial releasing part, which was a lot about releasing past tension and inhibitions and allowing for new ideas to come out, and the collaboration part, when everyone releases, where you start to have you can build on those ideas from people bringing them up due to the release phase. When we started doing the collaboration, before we met up with the other group, we sat down and discussed, okay, how are we going to do this the best way, and build on all the ideas and inputs of everyone, and then delegated responsibilities accordingly to ensure that everything of the ideas was followed up upon. And I think that's how we feel that by first leaving, no one has had any control need or felt like they had to be a part of every part of the movie making. Everyone felt, okay, you take responsibility on that part, I take on this, and you take on this. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, we got into the collaboration where we trusted each other, turning into the ensemble where we started producing something that we wouldn't be able to do without each other. And when we were doing the filming, it wasn't actually focused on we need necessarily to have this in order to make the movie. It's more focused on how can we optimize the process and do this in the best way possible. Okay. If that makes sense.
Cool. Yes, I think when you write about this, I think you can still dig into deeper, like what is it actually you're doing. Like, so from what you're saying, I get a sense of how you say let's just meet, we throw out ideas, and it's like all ideas are welcome, kind of, and that is of course an important part, and as you say, it relates to release. But I'm also curious about how the convergence of ideas. You said it ended up taking half an hour. You expected an hour, but somehow you managed to keep the deadline. Well, even before the deadline. So it's like, but even that, if you expect it to take an hour and you're finished after half an hour, then I get curious whether you could have explored more if you wanted to. Maybe it wasn't necessary, but something about like, what were your active choices, the way that you managed the elicitation of ideas and the convergence of ideas into a product. So I think you can describe it a little more in detail.
Yeah.
The other question I have is about the creed. So you said, what was your creed again? You said the truth is out there, or what was your creed?
Where traditional media ends, the truth begins.
Okay, I see. Yeah, no, that can actually be a creed that you can buy into, even though, but there's something around, like, because you are not actually an investigative news channel. I hope I'm not bursting anybody's bubble here, but I mean, so, but that could still be sort of pathos of the channel. Okay, I buy that one.
It's because we discussed whether it should be in the world of the videos, or if it should be something kind of on the meta level where you understand that this is not the real world, and we decided to go with the creep inside the fantasy world, so to say.
Yeah, but I think maybe also it relates to something external, even though you're making fun of it. I think it's interesting, something you can discuss. Cool. Anybody else have questions for the group? Okay, then we're going to try another thing that I actually had time to do, which is we're going to do a polling. So let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to launch a poll. It contains 4 yes/no questions, so it should be pretty easy to answer it. And it's just the 4 questions are about whether you have interacted with the channel. So this is something everybody answers. Whether you've interacted with the channel, whether the channel, whether you personally feel that the channel provides a community that you could buy into and be a part of, whether you have recommended this channel to a friend, some of the videos. And the last one is sort of like, if you think about this as an organization or a team, and I know it's kind of a sketchy organization, but you still get a sense of the team. Would you invest in this organization or team if you were an investor? And I think to that last question, I remember one of the things when talking to investors, one of the things that they say a lot is, of course, the idea and the product has to be good, but what they really invest in is the team. So, and it's just to give a little fun kind of feedback to the group that you then also can use in your exam paper. And the voting is anonymous, so they won't know what you answered. So I'll give you like 30 seconds, I think, to just answer these questions. Let's see. Cool. I have now 32 responses. I think we're more than 32. 33, 34, or 45. I can see actually when everybody's voted. I love this program. Oh, somebody can't see it. Can anybody, I actually don't know what it looks like at your end. Can anybody tell Anastasia how it, where you see it? Does it just pop up on your screen or it just pops up? Okay, that's peculiar. We're still missing 9 and Anastasia is one of them. That means 8. Where are you? Okay, I think we end the 36 out of 45. So 80% response rate here. Oh, Emma can't see it either. And oh, a couple of people can't see it. That's very peculiar. Okay, I have no idea why that is. But let's just see what it's like. So end poll and share the results. Ta-da, can you see the results? So 72% have interacted with the channel. 64 feel that it's a community they can be a part of. Only 44 have recommended it to other people, and 78 would invest in this team. I think it's interesting that it's 78% would invest in the team, even though only 72 have interacted with the channel. You must have convinced somebody by your presentation. Okay, Cool. Good. Thank you. I don't know how you give a round of applause in Zoom, but you can sort of yes, exactly like this. Wave your hands, whatever. Cool.